you know, they have different flats like this where, you know, and it wouldn't have to be all onions. You know, you could do things that germinate at relatively the same time, or all your early stuff in one. So you can get a lot of plugs in here, and you don't use a lot of potting soil. Okay. So with our farm, the thing I realized right away is that potting soil is pricey, especially if you're buying organic potting soil. And so I was like, I don't want to have to pot up a lot of things. So quickly I realized you want to look at how long it takes to germinate, how long it takes to, and it'll say on your seed packs when to transplant out. And so I wanted to make sure I timed it right so that I wasn't like, oh geez, all my onions are now root bound. So I really tailored it in to, and I would just make a note, like if you plant your onions on February, 15th or something like that, and you're like, in a month, which would be too early, so let's not start our onions. Onions grow slow, so you can start them towards the end of February. That's what I would do if you're going to start your onion season. But then just know in 30 days you're going to plant those out so that you don't have root-bound onions. So it's important to look at the transplant date. It'll usually say start and then transplant date on your seed packets, and start those accordingly, because if you're only doing maybe a dozen tomatoes, then it's not such a big deal to transplant those up. But if you're doing significant amounts of something like onions or lettuces or something like that, you don't want to have to pot those up, and one, it's a lot of time, and then it does take a lot of potting soil. So, but if you are, I like, if I know I'm going to have something in here, I like it to start them in something slightly bigger, like flowers, for instance, that I know I'm not going to plant out until May 15th, but it requires you to start them so early because they're so slow growing. So you can start stuff in bigger pots. You just have to be aware of what you're planting. The other thing is, because we are all trying to get away from plastics, and one thing that's slightly better. Have you guys heard of soil blocks? So these are soil block makers, and there's different ones. This is little soil blocks. Basically, what you would do with your potting soil is you would get it wet, and the consistency of peanut butter, so kind of wet. And then you would have it in a big container where you push this down in it, and then you go over here and you press it and up, and it would have 4 little soil blocks that have a little divot inside where you can put your seed.